I have no idea if it's working now, but I might actually be live on YouTube. I am live on YouTube. Oh, I fixed it. Ah, yes. I fixed it. I am now also live on YouTube. But there's like a delay between TikTok and YouTube. I don't know what just dropped. Something dropped over. That was interesting. Anyway, so I am now live on YouTube, and I'm also live on TikTok at the same time. Look at that. Hi! So, yay! That's cool. Wouldn't it be funny if the text that we're supposed to install the shields on thermal... There were no texts that were going to install shields on the thermal exhaust port because it was not considered to be a threat. Like, there was no... The Death Star technically doesn't need, port were delayed because of Jen and Dolores. There's no way. So the Death Star doesn't technically need, like, a shield generator. I mean, it's so heavily armored that it doesn't really need, it didn't really need a shield. And, like, the exhaust port was considered so small that it... First of all, that exhaust port, like, the Empire did not know that that exhaust port was a threat of some kind. So, there was no, like, they didn't know there was a threat, right? So, there was just, it was an exhaust port, right? They didn't know that the exhaust port went to the main reactor, and if you put something in there, it was going to blow up. So that was a specific defect that Galen Erso put into the Death Star in order to make it destroyable. Also, can somebody do me a quick favor and make sure this is actually working on YouTube? Like, can you, like, just, I don't know if the chat functions work. The main thing is I don't know if the chat's working, and I'm just concerned that it's not. So I don't know how Jen escaped the Death Star. I don't know how Dolores, sorry, I don't know how Dolores escaped the Death Star blowing up, but I can tell you that Jen escaped the Death Star blowing up because Jen was on Scarif at the time of the Death Star 1 being blown up. Because Jen is the lead help desk technician on the Death Star, and American food is boring now. It's always been boring. So when Tarkin ordered the Death Star blow up Scarif base, that you have to think about, like, that's the entire cloud repository. That's the entire, like, server room for the Empire. So he basically blew up all of their cloud storage, all of their backups, all of their shared drives. Like, if you've ever worked in, like, a company and you've seen, like, your shared drive, like, your servers and stuff like that, he basically blew up Office 365, right? So the lore that I created for Jen is that she was tasked with trying to get the server room back up on Scarif. Death Star 365. Right. Empire 365. So basically she was sent to Scarif to try and, like, put the data center back together. That's how she survived. So she was on Scarif at the time of the Death Star 1 being blown up. Now, as for the Death Star 2, I actually have a video. I made videos about how Jen survived Death Star 2. Hi, Bert from Texas. Oh, if I'm your internet crush, don't forget to follow me on the YouTubes and the Instagrams and the Twitch. I also have Twitch. I don't really use those. I have those other platforms. I just never use them because I utilize TikTok. But now I have to utilize more than one application. Sorry. Not my choice. It's definitely not my choice. Yeah, just in case we lose the TikToks, please follow me on my other socials. I'm actually live on YouTube right now. You guys can't see it. My webcam is over here. Hi, YouTube. Well, don't do that. Hi, YouTube. And I'm on TikTok as well. So I'm going live on the both. Anyway, so yeah. What were we doing? Oh, I made videos, by the way, about Jen surviving the Death Star 2 explosion. I never actually finished. There was one more video in that series that I never made. I guess I should make it now. I guess I should start posting all of my drafts. I have a whole bunch of drafts. But yeah, I have quite a few videos that I made. I have one more video to make from that series of how Jen survives Death Star 2. Basically, it's after the Death Star explodes, and like, what does Jen do after that? I will say that Jen goes to work for Moff Gideon. Like, that's how her story continues after Return of the Jedi, as she goes to work for Moff Gideon eventually. And then with the Ahsoka show, I've made some like headcanon stuff about how Jen is working for the remnants of the Empire, trying to like help them rebuild their computer system, I guess. And she quits. Jen officially quits the Empire when Thrawn returns. It's the same name. It's the real Mando Mom. You should just be able to find it. And even if you can't, like, just search for me on YouTube, if you go to my link tree in my bio, I do have my my other socials on there. I know I at least have Instagram and YouTube. I don't know about Twitch. And I think my Discord's up there too. So, it's there. It is there. I promise. So yeah. So anyway, hi YouTube. I'm trying to like, I don't see any comments coming across, so like I just want to make sure that I'm not missing any comments, but, yeah. This is kind of cool. That's kind of neat that I fixed it. There's definitely a delay, though, between the YouTube stream and TikTok. So, anyway, we still have one more chapter to read for this tonight, and then we can just chat and hang out. I have to shut off my bamboo printer, because like I said, I'm reorganizing my entire office. I needed to reorganize it anyway because I got the new printer for Christmas, so now I have the Bamboo Lab and I have my Creality. I need to find like a better way to have it all like set up, and I might move my big printer. I might move Alejandro into the corner over by my sewing stuff, because having both of these printers like right next to me, it's very warm, which I mean right now because it's cold is fine, but I know in the summer I'm gonna hate my life because being like in between these two little heaters I'm gonna die. So yeah, anyway, so now we're on a part of the book called The Inner Circle. Ooh, I want you to see my butt. It's called The Inner Circle. Yeah, you guys can't, because this camera's up and down. This camera's side to side. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I am. They can't take away my TikTok reads. I just figured out how to work this one. Hey, Mando to Hire. I followed you today on Instagram, so I don't lose you. Thank you for the rose. Everybody go and make sure you guys follow Mando to Hire, because he's one of my favorite Mandalorian cosplayers. I'm not gonna lie. You and Nylo Ren you guys are my favorites. Oh, you guys have captured my heart, let me tell you. Also, I wish I lived in England. I really do, because I would love to see you riding around on that speeder bike in person. That would be so epic. I would. That would be so cool. I love you guys. I just, this is, I'm not, you're not gonna look, you still have act. Anyway, chapter 34. Then we'll have two chapters left, right? This is actually a long chapter, so. We'll have, this is the way, I have spoken, that's right. So, we have 2 chapters left, so Monday we will finish Cloak of Deception. I can't believe we finished another book, y'all. Chapter 34. The Nebula Front has largely disbanded, the judicial officer explained to Qui-Gon. The few we've been able to track down contended that they knew nothing about Havoc's plans for Aradu. Some of them had never even met Havoc, and assert that the name was applied routinely to almost everyone in the Front's militant faction. The Aradu operation was conceived in great secrecy in any case, since the militants were convinced that there was an informant among them. The informant was one of the moderates, Qui-Gon amended. It was through him that I learned about Cole's designs to raid the Trade Federation freighter at Dorvala, and on Asmaru, about a clandestine operation Cole was executing for Havoc. A judicial, a thin brown-haired woman with a personable manner, made note of Qui-Gon's remarks on a desktop datapad. It was just the 2 of them in a small cubicle in the Justice Department's cavernous headquarters on Coruscant. Almost a standard month had gone by since the assassination. Deactivating the shield the members of the Trade Federation's directorate had thrown about themselves, unknowingly ushering in their own demise, had required a team of technicians using a pair of field disruptors. The 2 Neimoidians who had survived the massacre, Viceroy Newt Gunray and Senator Lot Dodd, had not protested when the same disruptors had been employed to dazzle the 13 droids into states of guaranteed submission. Diplomatic privilege had permitted the Neimoidians to depart Aradu without answering any questions. Supreme Chancellor Valorum had ordered the Justice Department to commence an immediate investigation but the chief investigators had soon found themselves thwarted by Lieutenant Governor Tarkin. Ah, so many names. Hang on one second. I need a drink. Oh, hang on. I put like strawberry banana powder in there and I did not shake that up. Ugh. It's like straight up powder in my mouth. Ugh. Does not taste good. Does not taste good at all. Ugh. Qui-Gon had tried to stay abreast of developments in the case, but the chief investigator had served as liaison with the Iradian team had only just returned to Coruscant. Havoc turns out to have been Iradian, the judicial officer confirmed. His real name was Eru Matalis, a media correspondent and holo-documentarian, with a long-standing grudge against the Trade Federation. At some point, he became the leader of the Nebula Front cell on Aradu and rose through the ranks to command position in the organization. Oh my goodness, go to bed, Mando! Have a good night! A search of the safe house on the Nebula Front maintained in Aradu City revealed that the Front had contacts in all quarters of government and law enforcement and presumably knew as much as anyone about security for the Trade Summit. Evidently, Havoc, Matalis, used his contacts to obtain security badges, uniforms, and documentation for the assassins Cole had hired, and perhaps arranged to have weapons concealed inside the hall prior to the summit itself. What's the matter, Radigan? I'm sorry. Did I do something wrong? The operation must have been planned as soon as the Trade Summit was announced, Qui-Gon said, or soon after the attack on Supreme Chancellor here on Coruscant. I don't suppose we'll ever know what the attack was genuine or designed from the start to sidetrack us from what was being set in motion on Aradu. Not unless Cole or Havoc learned to speak from beyond the grave, Judicial said. What of the assassins who were captured? Everyone in custody upholds that Valorum was the target, even the 2 who you discovered with Havoc in the media booth. As they tell it, Havoc's goal was to make it appear that the Trade Federation's droids had killed Valorum at the behest of the Directorate. That would have led to the dismantlement of the Federation, which is what the Nebula Front wanted all along. I don't... 10 days and this is what we get? I don't understand. Is it good or is it bad? I'm not changing. I mean, I'm gonna keep on doing what I've been doing. I've been on this app for 4 years. I'm not gonna change. I'm gonna keep going until I can. So, and like I said, you can follow me on my other apps My other socials, like right now, I am currently live on YouTube as well as TikTok. So YouTube's over here on my computer, and then TikTok, obviously, on my phone. So there's that. I will be here until the very end. I will be like the band on the Titanic. So, yep. Did you do the podcast? Information will be coming out hopefully next week. I gotta talk to Ellie. She lost her job, and so she's working on a new job, and yeah. It's hard to manage adults, I'm not gonna lie. So, we'll see. We considered the possibility that something went wrong with the droid's programming and that the attack on the Directorate was a mistake, but Bactoid provided ample proof that that could not have happened. Could Bactoid have been involved in abetting Havoc? They vehemently denied any involvement. In fact, their technicians helped us analyze the battle droid, the so-called Commander, which was found to contain a mechanism that allowed it to be controlled independently of the central control computer, but only for a brief period. Havoc's holocam prompted the commander to act, and the 12 other droids followed the commander's lead. As soon as the central control computer realized that they were occurring in Summit Hall, they shut it all down. I am on YouTube. Like I said, I am currently live on YouTube, like, right now. Like, YouTube is over here on my webcam. So, yep. Currently live on both TikTok and YouTube at the same time. Hi, YouTube. Again. Yeah. So, I definitely have gained like a considerably more amount of subscribers in the last couple of days on YouTube. Because I originally only had like 5 and now I have 25. So I've gained like 20 people in the last couple of, I don't know, days. Oh. I heard a crack and I was like, what's going on with my other printer? It's fine. It's normal. So, yep. I'll be on both. Like I said, I will be here as long as I possibly can. My glasses are uneven. Qui-Gon considered it all for a moment. Havoc must have helped getting the droid into Trade Federation hands. Absolutely, Judicial said, nodding, but diplomatic privilege has prevented us from learning all that we wish to know. For example, Iradu spaceport records show that the Directorate arrived with only 12 droids. So the 13th, the assassin, had to have been acquired while the delegation was on the surface. Gunray, the new commanding viceroy of the entire Trade Federation, alleges, through his lawyers, at any rate, that someone in the Directorate must have accepted or introduced the droid. Senator Lap Dodd claims that when he drew Gunray's attention to the extra droid, the viceroy appeared to be every bit as puzzled as Dodd was. Hi, Assad. I'm good. How are you? What was the message that took Gunray and Dodd from the Summit Hall? Legitimate, as far as can be determined, a plasma leak was detected in the engines of the Neimoidian shuttle. The leak touched off scanners at the spaceport, and someone at the spaceport contacted security at the Summit Hall. The problem is, we haven't been able to learn the identity of whomever it was that contacted security. Viceroy Gunray insists that the comlink the page led him to was inactive when he reached. I cannot talk today. The Judicial shook her head in exasperation. It all comes down to Havoc. Qui-Gon folded his arms across his chest and nodded, though not convincingly. So it would appear. It's a pleasure to see you again, Senator Palpatine, the exquisite figure in the hollow projector field said. I look forward to the day that we can meet again in person. I do as well, Your Majesty, Palpatine said, bowing his head in a gesture of respect. Having chicken parmesan and garlic knots? Oh, that sounds delicious. I didn't eat dinner tonight. I wasn't hungry. The figure sat in a round-back throne with a towering arch-topped window at her back. To either side, massive columns of native stone. Her low voice was as composed as her posture. The words emerged from her painted lips with scant inflection. She had a slight figure and a lovely feminine face. She was remarkably solemn for one so young. It was clear that she took her responsibilities with the utmost seriousness. Her birth name was Padme Nabari, but she would henceforth be known as Queen Amidala, the newly elected ruler of Naboo. Palpatine was receiving the communications in his apartment, high in the crag-like tower that was 500 Republica in one of Coruscant's oldest and most prestigious precincts. The walls and floor were as red as Amidala's throne, with the object of art adorning every niche and corner. He could imagine his own ghostly likeness hovering above the composite holoprojector in the floor of the Advisory Council in Naboo's Theed Palace. Senator, I want to advise you about something which has only now been revealed to me. King Varuna is dead. I'm sorry. Are my thighs a problem? I don't know, is that a good thing? I don't usually appear with this much of me on camera, but I have to sit, like, really far back for my webcam. Here, if they offend you, here, I'll put a blanket over them. There we go. I'd be cozy. Is that better? Weird. Dead, Your Majesty? Palpatine frowned in apparent disquiet. Of course I was aware that he had gone into hiding following his abdication, but I understand that he was in good health. I know! Long time, Luna! He was in good health, Senator, Amidala said in a low monotone. What was that? Oh, sorry. That was my dry box. I know, I have lots of dings and beeps going on. His death has been ruled accidental, but much mystery surrounds it. Even at 14 years of age, she was not the youngest monarch ever elected to the throne, but she was certainly one of the most conventional in dress and bearing. She was sheathed head to foot in a wide-shouldered red gown, whose ample cuffs were trimmed with patchouli fur. The gown's narrow bib was embroidered in priceless thread. Painted white, her face sat in a notch of deep collar that was only bracketed her fine features, but also became a part of the elaborate jeweled headpiece that flared behind her head. Her thumbnails were accented with white polish, and each cheekbone with a red, stylized beauty mark. A traditional scar of remembrance bisected her lower lip, which, unlike its red mate, was also painted white. 5 handmaidens stood behind her, dressed in hooded burgundy gowns. I wish you could meet our new chief of security, Senator, Amidala said, gesturing to someone out of view. Captain Panaka. A clean-shaven man with light brown skin moved into the holofield. Humorless-looking, he was dressed in a leather jerkin and matching command cap. Wait a minute. How does he know what color things are when the holoprojectors at this time were all blue? How does he know that her dress is red if the holoprojector shows everything blue? That makes no sense. Absolutely none. You can't say that her dress is red if it's blue. Oh my goodness, this is gonna drive me nuts. Humorless looking, he was dressed in a leather jerkin and matching command cap. Panaka may have been recently appointed, but he was not new to the court, since Panaka had served for a time under his predecessor, Captain Magneta. Captain Magneta? Book mistakes. Yeah. Because King Varuna died under suspicious circumstances, Amidala said, Captain Panaka feels that additional security is required for all of us, including you, Senator. Palpatine looked surprised, even entertained by the notion. I hardly think that's necessary on Coruscant, Your Majesty. The only danger here comes from having to fraternize with other senators and somehow remain immune to the greed that plagues the Galactic Senate. The Queen returned to the holofield. What about the recent troubles between the Trade Federation and the Nebula Front terrorists, Senator? Palpatine shook his head in disapproval. That sorry incident only pointed out how ineffectual the Republic has become at mediating such conflicts. Too many in the Senate place their own needs above the needs of the Republic. Excuse me. What will become of Chancellor Valorum's proposal to tax the free trade zones? Ah! I can't sit like this. It's weird. I feel certain that the Supreme Chancellor will pursue the matter. How will you vote, Senator, should the matter reach a vote? How would you have me... Oh, puzzle piece. Sorry, hang on. There we go. Oh, good. How would you have me vote, Your Majesty? Amidala thought before replying. My responsibility is to the people of Naboo. I would very much like to establish good relations with the Chancellor Valorum, but Naboo can scarcely afford to become embroiled in a dispute that pits the Republic against the Trade Federation. I will abide by your decision on the matter, Senator. Palpatine inclined his head. Then I will weigh the matter carefully and vote according to what is ultimately best for Naboo and the Republic. Oh, of course you will. Yeah, I am sure Palpatine will vote what is best for Naboo and not for himself. Yeah. What does Plagueis say he should do? Valorum stood at the tall window, gazing out over the cityscape. The last time we met here was to discuss the Trade Federation's request for protection from terrorists, he said. And in the months since, the situation has only intensified. When I reflect on the sequence of events that have brought us to this dark place, I find myself at a loss. If someone had tried to tell me months ago that we were headed here, I would have heeded the warning, because I wouldn't have considered it possible. Senator Palpatine said nothing. He waited for Valorum to turn from view. Out of respect for what occurred in the summit, I have deferred bringing the motion for taxation before the Senate, and I am under pressure to resolve the matter once and for all from those who support it, as well as those who oppose it. Valorum pivoted to face Palpatine. You, perhaps more than anyone, know the climate of the Senate. Did the assassinations create sympathy for the Trade Federation to the point... That's still not right. There we go. No! There. I don't know. That's slightly more comfortable. Did the assassinations create sympathy for the Trade Federation to the point where we won't be able to gather sufficient support for taxation? On the contrary, Palpatine said. What happened on Aradu only reinforced everyone's fears that we are entering violent times, and that the conflict between the Trade Federation and the Nebula Front could be a sign of greater tragedies to come. What's more, with the profit-driven Neimoidians now helming the Trade Federation, tension is likely to increase in the outlying systems. Your plan to redirect revenue to the Outer Rim is praiseworthy and is something that should be put into effect. Many worlds and struggling concerns stand to profit from such a move. Market competition will eventually temper the reach of the Trade Federation without need for the Republic to intervene beyond taxation. Valorum nodded. And what of the Trade Federation's request for additional defenses? Even with the Nebula Fronts eliminated as a threat, the Neimoidians will want permission to augment their army. That's true, Palpatine said slowly. As an accommodation, if nothing else, we should at least consider As an accommodation, if nothing else, we should at least consider allowing the Trade Federation to take whatever steps are necessary to safeguard their vessels. The breakup of the Nebula Front does not preclude the possibility of further acts of terrorism, launched by whatever groups rise up next. Valorum regarded Palpatine. Will we have Naboo's vote? Words are hard. They are very hard. Palpatine sighed with purpose. Unfortunately, Queen Amidala is not prepared to support taxation, as Naboo still relies on the Trade Federation for many essential imports. She is young and inexperienced in such matters, but eager to learn. He fixed his gaze on Valorum. However, I will continue to do all in my power to work behind the scenes. I feel certain that we will be able to rally the votes needed. Valorum smiled in gratitude. For all the support you have shown me, my friend, I trust that you will take on faith that, should need ever arise, I would do all within my power to render aid to Naboo. Thank you, Supreme Chancellor. As you say, I will take you at your word. Liar! Liar! Valorum does nothing to help Naboo! Nothing! Nothing! So that is the end of chapter 34. We have 2 chapters-ish left. 34, 35, 36, and 37. So we got 3 chapters left of this book, and then we will move on to the Maul book. Thank you for the tiny diny. So yeah, we will move on to the Maul book after this. Like I said, we will be going on here until the very end, like the musicians on the Titanic. But also, please follow me on my other socials because I will also be there. I know, we are finally almost done with the most boring Star Wars book ever written. Or at least, it is the most boring story. It is the most, not the most boring story. It is the most boring Star Wars story I have ever read. I will say that. It is the most boring Star Wars story I have ever read. So, yeah. I very much look forward to having a different book. Yeah. Politics are not my fave, and this, I mean, it's, we've gotten some, like, good information on, like, how the Republic politics works. Like, I will say that we've gotten some information on that, which is kind of nice. But at the same time, it's a very dry and very boring book, and I very much look forward to, like, switching over to a different book. Like, I can't wait for a different book. Which, I got an email from Thrift Books today that it was shipped. So, I should be getting it. I will say that I think Thrift Book ships out of California from LA, so I don't know how long it's gonna. We might have to read like Obi 123 or something while we wait for the mall book to get here, because user, don't be weird, okay? You can make like some light comments, but don't make it weird. All right, don't make it weird. Yeah. So I don't know if there's going to be a delay, because I've actually I ordered my new day planner, and it ships out of Southern California as well, before the fires even started, and it's delayed because of that. And I'm not upset. Like, there are people who are losing their homes, they're losing everything. My family, I have members of my family who have had to evacuate to safer areas that are in California. So it's not like I'm not a heartless, you know what, to like say that, oh good, California's being, no, I'm not that way. So, yeah, my thankfully my family is safe. They had a safe place to go. Everybody's good, as last I spoke to them yesterday morning. So I don't want to like bother them every 5 seconds about it. Like, are you guys still safe from the fire? Like, I don't want them to be like running from the fire and having to like send me a message. So, but yeah. I think I'm hitting the crash for my monster. So, I mean, it's my... Oh, that reminds me. One of my favorite people on TikTok lives in Southern California. I need to send him a message. I just realized I did not send him a message, and I should. I can't send him a message while I'm on live. I'll send it after the live. Just to make sure he's safe. Yeah. What time is it? It's 11 o'clock, so I've been on for over an hour. But anyway, I'm gonna try and go live on Sunday. I cannot promise, because we might have some stuff going on here at the house on Sunday. But I'll try and be on live on Sunday, just RT, and I'll be definitely live on Monday. And like I said, go and follow me on my other socials, so that you don't lose me. If this app gets fully banned, like I'm thinking it will, I will be going live on YouTube, as well as I'll probably dual stream YouTube and Twitch. So anyway, I hope you guys all stay safe. I love y'all, and I will see you next time.